Edward of Woodstock has one absolutely crucial role in 2020 and beyond for Rise of Kingdoms. In this video, we're going to break down what that critical role is, some other ways that you can get value, and the reasons why Edward of Woodstock doesn't hold up over time. If you're considering investing in Edward of Woodstock or looking for ways to counter him, then stick around. This guide is going to give you everything you need. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and today we're going to be breaking down Edward of Woodstock, the areas in which he is still exceptional, and the areas where really I feel like he is lackluster. If you like Rise of Kingdoms guides that help you get value and smash your enemies, consider smashing that subscribe button for daily Rise of Kingdoms videos. We are a sponsored content creator, and this commander is a real curious one. Edward of Woodstock is an archer commander, and he is powerful for an active ability that does an unbelievable amount of damage. This is very exceptional in one particular situation, and that is KvK Season 2. This is the one most powerful use for Edward of Woodstock is rallying in KvK Season 2. Now, why is that? We actually just completed KvK Season 2 on my restart project. And the experience that we had on that 45 million power account is that the best garrison in KvK Season 2 is going to be Charles Martel and Constantine. Either one can be the primary. You might rally with infantry, but because you're always garrisoning with infantry, you're not going to have that many infantry to use. Now, you could rally with cavalry in that season of KvK. You've got Khan, you've got Double C, you've got Saladin, all available in KvK Season 2, but it just doesn't do all that great into infantry. Which leaves you with the one nuclear option. That is the Edward of Woodstock with Esong or El Cid. That combo straight up tears up the infantry meta for garrison in KvK Season 2, and you weren't doing anything else with your archers anyways. So a lot of people use their infantry to garrison, their cavalry to field fight, and then they can rally with archers. That is the combination of troops that you want to be using on the battlefield in the way that you want to be using them. Otherwise, your whole kingdom could be sitting with all their archers unutilized because there's not a great rally. Now, your backup would be like an Esong El Cid. I think that would also be very exceptional. But that is the one critical role of Edward of Woodstock. And if you want to see just how insane that is, I'll have a card up in the top for some of our KvK footage, maybe even 2 cards if you want to see that combat and where Edward just obliterates the competition. So if Edward is such a powerful figure in KvK Season 2, why is it that that role diminishes over time? And the answer is very simple. In future versions of KvK, you end up with Attila and Takeda, and that combo is just unfreaking believable. So if we look at when commanders arrive into the game, you can see that just after Constantine and Alexander the Great, you have your Edward and Tamaris, and then you've got Attila and Takeda. Attila and Takeda are going to dominate and take over for a very, very, very astonishingly long time for the rally meta, which means that in this season of KvK, you have one very small window of opportunity for that Edward of Woodstock. And that is the thing that I dislike the most about this commander, that you really only get the one KvK of value with your Edward of Woodstock. And there's another big problem, by the way. Let me show you exactly what that problem is by switching over to my restart project now, because you see, the trick here is that although people will be using Edward of Woodstock, how do you unlock him? Well, what Mightiest Governor cycle is this kingdom on that is nearly finished, KvK Season 2? We are still on the Constantine Mightiest Governor. So if I pull up that infographic again, this Edward of Woodstock is only going to be maximum value to you if you get him in an older kingdom and migrate to a younger kingdom. Otherwise, at least for our KvK Season 2, he was not even available for people to use. Now, this is sort of a tricky one. This is certainly a tricky one. So if you've got an Edward of Woodstock and you want to get sick value from it, migrate to a kingdom that's going to KvK Season 2. You can battle for Wu Zetian, and yeah, it's really good there. But let's talk for a moment about Edward of Woodstock's other uses and where else Edward of Woodstock is good. Because I personally use Edward of Woodstock in the open field, and maybe that's a debatable choice. I use him specifically in Ark of Osiris for the tremendous amount of march speed that he offers. Edward of Woodstock is going to give you a very cool 30% march speed, which is massive. But the other big downfall of Edward of Woodstock for open field fighting is that if you use him in this way, you are going to have to be in base-to-base contact, in other words, right up next to your enemy, for a very long time in order for your active skill to fire off, because it takes more rage. The problem with that is that most people don't just stand there and let you pummel them. They step away, which means it's very easy for people to dodge the active skill from your Edward of Woodstock, which was the whole reason that you're using him. So this is why I use Edward of Woodstock in Ark of Osiris for that very cool 30% march speed boost. I use him, and I use El Cid, and I fill rallies that way, and they have a lot of march speed, which means that when they come back to my city, I can fill another rally really quickly, or if I am in the field, I'm navigating through the field very quickly to get to where I'm going, especially when they get below 50% strength. That is the main reason that I like that pair for that context only. Now, the other problem with archers is that cavalry are very prevalent in the open field because of their march speed. Cavalry counters archers. Not an amazing situation to be in. Now, there is one other context in which Edward of Woodstock is still seeing an astonishing amount of use, and it is astonishing and noteworthy that Edward of Woodstock is still very much used in Canyon as an offlane with El Cid or even sometimes Esong. That's right, Edward of Woodstock is used in the offlane with Esong or El Cid or even Ramses. Now, why is that? There is a lot of stats that Edward of Woodstock is offering that really do go a very, very long way toward his effectiveness on the battlefield. And in many ways, it's a bummer that he doesn't remain effective for longer. Edward of Woodstock is giving you extra skill damage. He does extra damage to infantry, and those infantry are all over the place. He also gives health, which is arguably the very best stat in the game. When he's above 70%, you get 40% more archer attack. Now, yeah, you lose a little bit of defense, but you get a lot of punch for that deal. In addition, after you use an active skill, your normal attack damage goes up, your counter attack damage goes up. He's very solid as a tanky, shockingly tanky, offlane commander in Canyon. And the thing about that is that Canyon is not all that important of a game mode right now. Even Lost Canyon is not all that important of a game mode. Even with my collection of commanders, I cannot find the justification to invest in commanders whose primary role is to just be used in Canyon. So even a commander like Constantine, I'm just sitting on him at a 5/5, 3/2. He's used in Canyon a lot. I haven't bothered to expertise him because Canyon is that unimportant to me. It's a little frustrating when I lose Canyon, but I'd rather just care about rallies and garrisons. So with all of that said, Edward of Woodstock is a commander that I'm not sure most people should invest in. If you think you're going to be jumping back and forth from one kingdom to another, and in particular go backwards to a kingdom that is much, much younger, that way you can get this commander and then take advantage of the fact that you have it, be a rally leader, yeah, that is insanely valuable. I think there's a lot of value to that. But the way that I play my account is to always roll forward. This is in many ways a sort of more expensive way to play because, yeah, I roll every wheel every time it comes around, but we have access to all the new commanders as soon as they hit the game, which for me is a lot of fun working on those new metas. But if you are on your way back to a KvK Season 2, this one roll for Edward of Woodstock as a rally leader is honestly astonishing and effective. The only mechanism we really had to deal with this is to either swarm the rally, which, yeah, actually pretty tough to do in this level of KvK, it's really early on, you know? People don't have lots of T5 to swarm with, so it's usually a couple T5 players that have to bear the full burden themselves. Or you got a counter rally, and you use a counter rally with a bunch of cavalry to very rapidly force the enemy to cancel their rally with their Edward of Woodstock, because like Edward of Woodstock just can't handle it. One other honorable mention I do want to make for Edward of Woodstock is the natural pairing with Tamaris. Now, you can see what I think about Tamaris here, because I haven't even bothered to expertise her as well. She is really good with Edward as a rally combo, and the reason that they're so effective is that they do make the target take more skill damage, which is actually a very, very big deal. When there will be a skill damage meta again in Rise of Kingdoms, which I really thought Chandragupta and William were going to bring to us, it hasn't happened yet, but when that happens, making the target take more skill damage is going to be insane. We're not there yet, though. We're not there yet. However, the Edward and Tamaris combo is actually still super legit for hitting cities. But the thing about that is, like, yeah, you can use a lot of commanders for hitting cities, like Attila Takeda, like a Mehmed if you wanted, and pair him with, I don't know, Saladin. Like, you've got a lot of options for hitting cities, so I personally don't think it's such a great idea to invest in a commander with the intention of hitting cities, because there are a lot more of those that you can get, and they can have other roles that are super valuable too. So to answer that original question I had about what do you do with an Edward of Woodstock and should you invest, I think if you are going backwards in time to a younger kingdom for a KvK in which he is going to be extremely effective, yeah, I think there's value there. I think there's value there. But once you've got your Attila Takeda, I don't know. I guess the Edward of Woodstock is still good if you're double rallying stuff. In that case, I can see some value. But the Attila Takeda just has so much sustain. It has so much anti-swarm technology. It's the way to fight a prolonged fight over flags and works very, very well. I can't believe we're still using Attila Takeda in KvK Season 5, but that, my friends, is a topic for another video. Now, I do want to add that, okay, after Attila Takeda is here, and a lot of people will save their sculptures to be ready for Attila Takeda to have them both expertised for KvK Season 3, but even after Attila Takeda arrive, you still could use your Edward of Woodstock to rally. It's just not going to be the best thing around. And I'll add to that at some point, you are going to need to mobilize archers for your kingdom, so, like, yeah, you might still do some rallies with your Edward of Woodstock and try to get some value, especially in a double rally context. I think you could squeeze some extra value out of your Edward of Woodstock by doing double rallies. You have the Attila Takeda tank, and then the Edward and Tamaris do raw damage. They'll swarm that, though. Maybe you use an Edward El Cid or Edward Esong, try to do some raw damage. They'll swarm those, but at least you can have that second rally be very high punch and force them to respond to it by swarming or doing something to deal with you. Now, the other big problem here with the Edward of Woodstock over time is that if we get a look at the schedule again, you can see eventually we're going to get Ramses. And Ramses is going to be an amazing archer commander who, in the archer rally combo, is going to replace Edward. So eventually, if you're going to want to rally archers, you're going to be using Ramses instead of the Edward. It's going to be Ramses Esong. That's your pair, or Esong Ramses, one way or the other. So there really is a short time horizon for this Edward of Woodstock, which is kind of a bummer as a premier rally leader. Other commanders have way more longevity. Look at Charles Martel. Dude was available at the beginning of the game, and we're still talking about using Charles Martel. People in Arc League right now are using Charles Martel with Theodora. This is really happening. Edward of Woodstock just doesn't hold up that way. Which commander would you have? The one that has use across many KvKs in many contexts? Or the commander that really was a one-trick pony and, you know, had his glory day and then it ends? If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel for daily Rise of Kingdoms videos. We unlocked Edward of Woodstock through the Wheel of Fortune a long, long time ago. And if you want to see when we did that, I'll have a card up in the top. We sometimes get lucky, but I think those Edward wheels, we were not particularly lucky. And until next time, my friends, you have fun. smashing the kingdom.